Jury in court. All rise.
You may be seated.
Court. Court is now in session. Middle Justice Manasa Osai.
Thank you very much. So, good afternoon. We are here today for a criminal trial. And before we proceed with the afternoon's proceedings, I'm going to just read a little bit of background information about the case so that our jury, can I borrow this from you? Has a little bit of info. So, what allegedly happened? On December 5th, 2006, Amber Williams, 15 years old and in grade 9, was walking home from school after basketball practice. It was approximately 5:30 p.m. and dark. There was snow on the ground. He walked down Eglinton Avenue and turned up the alley that is a shortcut to the apartment building where he lives with his mom and his 2 sisters. There's a street light at the Eglinton end of the alley. As he started walking up the alley, Amber saw a couple of guys standing about 10 meters further up. They looked a bit older than him and pretty aggressive. They were wearing winter coats and hats. As soon as they saw him, they called out and told him to come over here. Amber didn't move. The 2 guys walked up to him, and when they reached him, one of them said that he liked Amber's shoes. Amber was wearing his new basketball shoes. The guy told Amber to give up his shoes. Amber said no. One of them reached over and pushed Amber against the side of a garage. Amber tried to push past them and run away, but they started repeatedly punching him in the face, chest, and stomach. Amber fell to the ground and they began kicking him in the back and legs. While he was lying there, one of them pulled off his shoes and hat. The 2 guys got up and laughed at Amber, telling him to walk home in the snow in his socks. One of them pulled out a knife and waved it in Amber's face, telling him not to go to the cops, and that if they ever saw Amber again, he would regret it. Then he lunged at Amber's stomach with the knife. The other guy yelled and pushed his arm away, and the knife missed Amber. The 2 guys started yelling at each other. The one without the knife said he wasn't going to be involved in stabbing anyone, and that they had to leave before someone saw them near Amber. They turned and ran down the alley. When they had gone, Amber slowly got up. His shoes and hat were gone. He had blood all over his face and neck. His face, chest, and stomach were really sore. He stumbled home and his mother called an ambulance and the police. Amber was taken to hospital. He had 2 broken ribs, a broken nose, and severe bruising all over his body. The doctors told him he was lucky the attack hadn't burst any internal organs. Amber was in hospital for 2 nights. On December 6th, Constable Rachel DiCarlo interviewed Amber. On January 6th, Constable DiCarlo called Amber to the police station and showed him a photo lineup. He identified the accused as being one of the 2 people involved in the attack. It was the boy who had stopped the other one from stabbing him. 2 weeks later, Constable DiCarlo contacted Amber and said that they had arrested Donovan T.C. He was charged with assault causing bodily harm and robbery. So that's a little bit of backstory. And we will move on to hearing introductions. Crown Counsel, you can go first. Please introduce yourselves, the jury, and our audience.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the court, honorable judge and court clerk, along with other citizens. I will be representing the Crown side for this case. So, emergency room, 2 broken ribs, broken nose, and severe bruising and blood running down the length of his body. On December 5th, 2006, Amber Williams had been assaulted, he had been attacked, and he had nearly been stabbed. Why, may you ask? Over something as trivial as basketball shoes. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, honorable judge, and citizens of this courtroom, let me ask you this. Do you feel safe in a world where a 15-year-old boy has been attacked over something as trivial as shoes? Where, may I ask, is the justice in this society? I'll answer that question for you right here, right now, in this courtroom. The defense will today try to weave a web about how this man is not guilty of attacking that 15-year-old boy, how he is not guilty of violating Section 267 of the Criminal Code. They're going to talk a lot. They're going to try to paint this heroistic image for Mr. Doberman TC about how he stopped a stabbing. But that's not why we're here today. Regardless of him stopping that knife, he still, with intent, caused bodily harm to Amber Williams. On January 7, 2007, Amber's stolen shoes were collected from Mr. TC's front door. The day before, on January 6, Amber had confirmed, and he was positive, that Mr. TC had been one of his attackers. And you will hear about how on December 6, exactly 1 month before Amber was even asked to identify his attackers, how a rumor concerning Mr. TC had been notified to the police. How there was a rumor concerning him attacking another student and taking his basketball shoes. And you will also hear how Mr. TC and his accomplice in alibi that day have 2 different testimonies. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, this afternoon, on your way inside this building, did you notice a statue of a woman balancing 2 scales blindfolded? Her name is Justice. She's blindfolded as Mr. Doberman TC's excuses and heroistic story don't concern her. The only thing that concerns the Lady of Justice is upholding the law. The people are confident that you will balance the scales and uphold the meaning of justice enforcement of law as well. Thank you.
Excellent. So before we move on to the defense introducing themselves, we are going to read the indictment. So Donovan TC, could you please stand? Fantastic.
Donovan TC, who is a young person within the meaning of U.S. Criminal Justice Act, is charged that on or about the 5th day of December 2006, in the city of Toronto, did assault Amber Williams, causing him bodily harm, contrary to Section 267B of the Criminal Code. Donovan TC, how do you plead this charge? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
And further, thus Donovan TC, who is a young person within the meaning of the U.S. Criminal Justice Act, is further charged that he, on or about the 5th day of December 2006, in the city of Toronto, did rob Amber Williams of 1 pair of basketball shoes and 1 baseball cap, contrary that to Section 3432 of Criminal Code. The causing has elected to proceed summarily. Donovan TC, how do you plead this charge? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Excellent. So Donovan TC is pleading not guilty to the charges of assault causing bodily harm and robbery. And the Crown has decided to proceed summarily, so that means that this is being treated as a summary offense, because we know that assault in and of itself is a hybrid offense. It could go either way, summary or indictable. So this has a lot to do with the fact that Donovan TC is under 18 years old. So, defense counsel, if you would mind introducing yourselves to our audience and jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, we are here today to discuss the charges of R versus TC. Donovan TC is a high school student charged with assault and theft. I believe that the previous statement put forth by the Crown contained many accusatory claims and untrue accusations, which isn't appreciated in the professional court of law. On December 5th, 2006, Amber Williams was allegedly attacked while walking home from school after a basketball practice. We have no confirmation that my defendant was the assaultant, and there's little evidence to back up this claim. We as a court today are here to defend an innocent youth. Today, you will be presented with evidence and will hear testimonies from my witnesses, which will leave no doubt in your mind the innocence of the defense. Please find the defendant not guilty.
Very well. Would you mind introducing your colleague to us? This one?
This is my colleague, Heck.
Fantastic. Okay, so without any further ado, we will get right into it. And Crown Counsel, would you like to call your first witness to the stand?
I would like to please call Amber Williams to the stand.
Amber Williams.
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So how do you class?
Yes, I do.
Very well, you may take a seat, and Crown Counsel may approach and begin with direct examination.
Please state your name, age, and occupation.
My name is Andrew Williams. I'm 15 years old and I'm a grade 9 student.
Who do you live with?
My mom and 2 sisters.
On what day were you walking home?
December 5th, 2006.
What were you doing after school?
I was at basketball practice.
What type of alley did you take?
It was my normal shortcut just off Edmond Avenue.
What was the weather like?
It was really cold and it was dark outside
Why couldn't you take the longer way home?
because it was cold and I had a lot of homework and I was in a hurry.
What did you notice when you got to the alleyway?
There were around 3 guys standing there.
How many guys?
2 guys.
What did they look like and what were they wearing?
They looked older than me and they were looking really aggressive. And they were wearing a blue bomber jacket and a red hat. Another one was wearing a dark green bomber jacket and a black hat, both wearing dark jeans.
What type of jacket did they have on again?
Bomber jackets.
So you could identify the type of clothing, the jackets they were wearing.
Yeah.
What did you say the values of the clothing were?
Really dark jeans, really dark bomber jackets, black hats, blue bomber jacket, and red.
So they were wearing dark clothing.
Yeah.
What did you say one of them had on them?
Hood.
So one of them had on a hood and the other didn't have a hood on. What did they yell at you?
They said, "Oh, come here."
What did they say next?
The one guy said they liked my basketball shoes, they were brand new, and he said, "Give them to me."
What was your response to this?
I said no, of course, because they were my new shoes and I really liked them.
What were you feeling at this point, Amber?
I was just hoping they would leave me alone so I could go home.
But what happened?
The guy in the green bomber jacket, he approached me and he got mad. And then he started pushing me and shoving me against someone's garage.
How did you feel about this?
I was surprised. I wasn't expecting him to attack me.
But what did you try? What did you try to do?
I tried to push past them, but there were 2 of them and they were older and stronger, so it didn't work.
What happened next?
They started punching my face, my chest, my stomach, and I fell to the ground. And then they started kicking me in the back and in the legs.
What did they take from you?
They took my new basketball shoes and then also my hat.
What happened after this, Amber?
They laughed at me and said to walk home in my socks.
What did you do when they were gone?
I stumbled home somehow. I was in a lot of pain, I was bleeding a lot, and I somehow got home.
What was the reaction of your mother?
She looked at me and she started crying, and she called the ambulance to get me to the hospital.
What were your injuries?
I had 2 broken ribs and a broken nose, and I also had a bunch of bruising, and the doctor said I was really lucky I didn't burst my lungs.
What type of bruising was it?
Really bad.
What did you feel like?
I was really hurt and broken and surprised because I never expect people to just, pounce on me and attack me over shoes.
When did Constable Rachel DiCarlo of Toronto come visit you?
December 6th, the day after.
Who did you identify in the photo lineup?
Donovan TC.
So when you look back on all of this, what really started it, Amber?
I guess it's because I didn't want to give them my shoes and they got mad.
Thank you.
Very well. If there's no further questions, you may be seated. And Defense Counsel, would you like to cross-examine this witness?
Yes.
You may proceed.
So, Andrew, I understand from your testimony that you took a shortcut. Do you really think that that was the smartest idea?
I've been thinking it for a long time and it was always safe in the past, so
Well, you're pretty young, aren't you? Do you really think that you should have been out late by yourself, wandering around in the dark?
it wasn't very late. It was just 5:30, 40-ish.
Well, you stated that you saw 2 older guys down the alley. Didn't you think that that was odd?
No, I thought they were just hanging out.
Well, sure that the street light was working, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to correctly identify the attackers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I saw that the guys were wearing this and that and that. So if I could see their clothes, I'm pretty sure I could see their faces.
Why didn't you run when they started walking down the alley?
I knew I wouldn't get away. And anyways, I didn't know they would attack me.
Why didn't you fight back when they allegedly attacked you?
Because there were two of them. I tried, but I never won.
Well, it's pretty understandable you got attacked. You seem to make yourself a pretty easy target. Didn't you find it surprising that you were attacked?
I found it surprising. I have never been attacked before, and I've been taking this route for years and years since I enrolled into school.
Were you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
No, of course not.
Do you have any other criminal convictions or have taken part in any other criminal activities?
No.
How did you acquire these basketball shoes? Did you pay for them?
Yeah, of course. My mom bought them.
What were your injuries?
I had 2 broken ribs, a broken nose, and a lot of severe bruises.
Have you ever deliberately tried to hurt yourself?
No.
How sure are you that Donovan TC was the person who attacked you? It was so dark outside, and the accused was wearing a hat. How could you see his face?
Well, first of all, a hat covers the top of your head, not your face. And second, his face was really close to mine because he was shoveling the ground. And it wasn't too dark to see outside. I could see.
There was a lineup of photos available at your disposal at the police station. Out of all those faces, how sure are you that it was Donovan TC who attacked you?
100%.
Are you even sure you identified the right person?
Yes.
Didn't Donovan stop the stabbing, saving your life?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, like, he attacked me. And, like, he hurt me anyways. Doesn't matter because I still got hurt.
But you weren't stabbed.
No.
Did or did not the defendant, Donovan TC, save your life?
Sort of.
I rest my case.
Very well, thank you very much. Thank you, Amber, for your testimony today. You may be seated. The Crown Counsel may call our next witness.
We would like to call Arthur TC to the stage.
Arthur TC.
Do you swear that everything you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Very well. Mr. TC, you may be seated. The Crown Counsel, you may proceed with direct examination.
Thank you. Please state your name, age, and where you live.
Arthur TC, age 4 years old. I live with myself.
How many children do you have?
Only one.
Are you married?
No.
What was Donovan's personality like before?
He used to be very nice.
What plans did Donovan have?
He used to plan to go to college and study technology.
How has Donovan's general personality changed?
He becomes surly and argumentative.
Who does Donovan usually want to hang out with? How much does he usually want to hang out with doing jerks?
A lot.
Can you state and explain what crimes Donovan has committed in the past few years?
Being trouble with the police for shoplifting.
So he's had previous experience with theft. What can you recall from December 5th?
He asked for money to buy a brand new pair of basketball shoes.
What type of argument was it?
It was a heated argument, so he was pretty angry.
And what did he ask for again?
A pair of basketball shoes.
On what night did he ask for a new pair of basketball shoes?
On December 5th.
The day that Asbury Williams' new basketball shoes got stolen. What did you suggest to Donovan on that night?
He should save up from his job at mall.
How did he respond to this suggestion?
He became agitated and started yelling at me.
How did he leave the apartment?
Stormed out.
And who did he go meet with while he was angry?
Wearing darks.
What time was it and where did they go?
went to rec center about 5 p.m.
Can you clarify what time Donovan came home?
No, I can't.
So Donovan doesn't really have a strong alibi what time he came home that night. Can you tell the court if you noticed anything that night, for example, any shoes?
No, I didn't notice anything, not any shoes.
Pause. I would like to remind the Crown Counsel that this is indeed direct examination. So just be careful in the way that you're phrasing your questions. Carry on.
Okay. Well, of course, he wouldn't notice the shoes. Wouldn't it be weird for his son to come home with blue pair of basketball shoes after they just had an argument about having enough money? Mr. TC, what would you like from your son?
I want him to be a responsible man that own up for his actions and not to cover up the truth.
Thank you, Mr. TC. That's all the questions I have for you today.
Very well, you may be seated. Thank you. Defense counsel, you may proceed with cross-examination of this witness.
So, Arthur, what's your relationship with Donovan?
He's my son.
What do you know about Donovan's friend, Dwayne?
He is a negative impact on my son.
Is it true that you disapprove of Donovan and Dwayne's relationship? Does Donovan get good grades at school?
Yes.
Does Donovan have any plans for future education?
Yeah, he plans to go to college, study technology.
Now, did you notice any shoes when you left the family house?
No.
You didn't notice the shoes. Why is that?
I did not supposed to notice anything because I didn't know anything was supposed to be there.
Couldn't the shoes that you didn't see potentially have been planted by Dwayne Dirks?
Possibly.
Do you think from personal experience that Donovan would do something like this?
I object.
On what grounds?
That is a personal opinion questionated opinion-based answer.
Sustained. Indeed, that is opinion-based evidence. So, if you can find a way to ask that question in a different way, you may do so.
Okay, is that the type of behavior out of character for your son?
Very nice.
Yes, my son would do something like that.
Does that explain why you're testifying against your own son? I rest my case.
Very well. You may be seated. Thank you, Mr. TC, for your testimony this afternoon. Crown Counsel, do you have another witness that you would like to call?
Yes, we would like to call Constable Rachel DiCarlo.
Constable Rachel DiCarlo.
Do you swear that evidence you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? How do you do?
You may be seated, Constable DiCarlo. And Crown Counsel, you may proceed with direct examination.
Please state your name, age, and occupation for the court.
Rachel DiCarlo, 40 years old, and I'm a police officer.
What happened on the night of December the 5th?
A young boy named Amber Williams was attacked by 2 boys.
Where?
Elton Avenue.
So, what time did you show up to the crime scene?
I wasn't there the night of the crime scene, but I was called around 6 p.m. that night to investigate the crime.
Who was involved in the assault?
Donovan, TC, and Dwayne Dirk.
Do the accused have any crime history?
I picked Dwayne up for shoplifting.
Interesting. Were there any weapons involved?
A knife was pulled by Dwayne.
What were the damages?
Amber ended up with a broken nose and a broken rib, and basketball shoes were stolen.
And these basketball shoes that were stolen, where were they found?
Outside of Donovan TC's apartment.
I heard that you also interviewed Amber Williams. What did you interview him about?
I just got his side of the story.
Now that you've heard his side of the story, do you think there is any reasoning behind the attack? Or did Amber provoke them in any way?
I think their motive was to get his basketball shoes.
But there's no other motive. Yeah, is there anything else you would like to inform the court about, such as other witnesses, phone calls, or anything in particular?
I did get a phone call from Donovan's principal asking where he was for the past week.
Anything else? So, she didn't say anything about any other rumors or evidence that she would like to say to you about this case?
She told me that she heard the rumor about Donovan attacking Amber, but that's not it.
So, I see. So based on that phone call, did you purposely put Donovan TC's photo in that lineup?
Yes.
And did Amber recognize Donovan?
Yes.
I'd like to rest my case.
Very well. Defense counsel.
We have an objection. She was asking direct questions.
Ah, indeed she was.
Leading.
Leading questions, yeah. So, do you want to revisit your last couple of questions and rephrase?
Sure.
Good job, guys.
So based on that phone call, did you do anything in particular?
No. Oh, sorry. I pulled up the photo lineup for Donovan and put Donovan in the photo lineup.
And what was Amber's reaction?
He did recognize Donovan.
I see. Now I'd like to rest my case.
Very nicely done. Defense counsel, you may cross-examine this witness.
Okay, so you didn't actually witness the attack,
No.
and you weren't the first officer on the scene,
No.
so you didn't actually see any harm caused to Amber.
No.
Were you in the area at the time?
Yes.
You were just believing and taking Amber's word on his recall of events.
Yes.
You don't think that Amber's injuries were sustained from anything else the previous day?
No.
From basketball? Anything? How did you receive this photo lineup?
From my head officer.
How did you know that these were Amber's shoes? Did you confirm it?
I didn't know for sure, but it was a positive chance that because he distracted me.
So we can't really be sure that Donovan TC's DQs. These shoes are really popular nowadays, so is it possible that Donovan could have been framed?
It's impossible.
For all you know, Amber was lying about the whole incident, and this was simply a way of getting back at Donovan over something.
That is possible.
That's my case.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony, Constable DiCarlo. Counsel, do you have any further witnesses to call this afternoon?
Yes, we would like to call Dr. Wilson to the stand.
Dr. Wilson? I believe this is the emergency room doctor that treated Andrew William that night, is that correct?
Correct.
Excellent.
Do you swear that evidence you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Are you ready?
You may be seated. Crown Counsel, you may proceed.
Please state your name and occupation for the court.
Philip Wilson, and I'm a doctor for emergency.
So, how many patients have you attended that have suffered beatings before?
Quite a few.
And what room did you attend Amber in?
The emergency room.
How much blood did you notice on Amber?
A lot. It was all over the spot.
See. So, how much of his body was broken?
He had 2 broken ribs and a nose.
And his bruising?
It was really bad. I thought he was lucky that he didn't burst any organs. It was mostly in the abdomen.
What organs could he have bursted?
I think his liver could have been damaged very badly, his stomach.
How many years of experience do you have again?
18.
So who already dealt this? And what did you think of it?
I thought he was pretty strong to have gone through it like he did. I mean, it must have hurt a lot for him to have got that. I thought he handled it really well.
was he in the hospital?
2 days.
But how long would it have taken him to fully recover?
I would say upwards of 6 weeks.
So, could you imagine what Amber was going through?
I imagine he must be horrified and be beat up like that. Must have been scary, painful.
And his relatives have visited him?
Yeah. His mom looks really devastated. She was crying when we were taken to the emergency room. She was with him.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. Defense counsel, you may cross-examine this witness.
So, how long have you been a doctor for?
15 years.
And have you ever made a mistake in diagnosis?
No.
Okay. You assess his injuries as bruising. That's very vague. Can you expand on that?
It's just bruising. The bruises were about the size of apples around his abdominal area.
Where were they on his body?
Like I said, abdominal area. There's some on his limbs and down the
How recently would you predict had the bruising happened?
I mean, when he came into the emergency room, he was bleeding all over, so obviously he was just hurt.
Okay. Were there any other potential causes of bruising, such as self-harm or basketball accidents?
No, because self-harm, punching yourself in the stomach is not a common form of self-harm, and and you can't really punch people in the stomach for basketball because that's not a very common tactic.
It could be kicked, maybe passing the ball.
Very unlikely that it would happen in that area.
Where was all the blood coming from?
He had a bleeding nose and a few cuts along his body.
Thank you.
Very well, thank you very much. Dr. Wilson, thank you for your testimony. You may be seated. Crown counsel, do you have any further witnesses to call?
No, we do not.
Crown rests. Very well. We will move on, and the defense will now open their case by calling their first witness.
We would like to call on Dwayne Dirks.
Dwayne Dirks.
Do you swear that evidence you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, the only God?
You may proceed.
Please state your name, age, and occupation.
Dwayne Dirks, 18 years old.
Who is your legal guardian? Where do you live? How long have you known Donovan for?
About half of the year.
How did you guys meet?
In gym class.
What kind of influence do you think you have on Donovan?
Donovan is too good sometimes. They just teach me what he should be.
And what is that?
Sometimes don't be so good.
Any examples of that? Why were you trying to convince Donovan to steal shoes?
It's the quickest way and the best way and easiest way.
What sort of things do you guys do together?
We go to breaks and to making basketball.
Anything else? Do you do drugs?
Sometimes.
Were you under any influence of alcohol or drugs on the night of December 5th, 2006?
Crown counsel, you may cross-examine this witness.
Why did you repeat grade 12?
Because I've been passing it up.
You've been in trouble with the police often, right?
Yeah.
What for?
Shoplifting.
What do you think about shoplifting?
It's easy. It's easy to steal and you get what you want, right?
Do you smoke?
Yeah, you're good for my body.
Do you do drugs?
The Crown is about to
smoking? I would agree with that. Sustained? What does the fact that Dwayne Dirks chooses to smoke have to do with this assault case?
Because I tell you.
Yeah, I would like to hear it.
Because Dwayne and Donovan were smoking for 10 minutes outside of the rec center.
That doesn't matter though.
Okay, let's see where this goes. Continue.
Do you do drugs?
Yeah, even better for my body.
What is your family life like?
I go home and my dad is often drunk.
Who are you staying with right now?
My father,
What is your dad like?
he drinks and gets mad at me.
What was Donovan like when you got to his apartment?
He's cool. He's pretty aggressive.
Why was he angry?
Because his dad didn't give him money to buy that pair of basketball shoes.
And what did you suggest?
I'll just go to steal them. Why not?
What time did you get to the rec center?
At 5 p.m.
Did you do anything before you entered the rec center?
Yeah, we just shared a cigar.
Was the center very busy with a lot of people?
Yes,
Donovan considers you a friend, right?
I bet it is.
So he'd want to hang out with you out of his own free will? Have you heard the phrase, show me your friends and I'll tell you what kind of person you are?
Not before.
What time did you leave the rec center?
I couldn't.
I rest my case.
Very well. Thank you, Dwayne Dirks. You may be seated. Defense counsel, would you like to call another witness? Jenny Wong?
Do you swear that evidence you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
You may be seated. Defense counsel, you may proceed.
What is your name, age, and occupation?
Jenny Wong, I'm 27 years old, and I'm a youth leader at the rec center.
When do you work at the rec center?
I work from 4 o'clock till 10 p.m., Mondays to Fridays.
How long have you known Donovan, and how did you?
I met him at the rec center about 12 months ago.
How often do you see Donovan, and what does he usually do when you see him?
I see Donovan come in to play basketball usually about 2 or 3 times a week, but sometimes I do see him come and work in the homework center.
On the night of December 5th, 2006, had you seen Donovan at the rec center?
Yes.
What was Donovan doing when you saw him?
He was playing basketball.
What college programs did you look for Donovan?
I looked into mostly available scholarships and just different programs that different universities had because he had told me that he wanted to study technology in post-secondary.
You said that Donovan's a good person and seemed to have a bright future ahead of him. How so?
Well, when he comes into the rec center, he usually is very happy and he is always open and letting other youth at the center come in and join his game of basketball or help him out.
How were Donovan and Dwayne acting when you saw them at the rec center on December 5th, 2006?
I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary for the two of them.
Thank you.
Very well. Crown counsel, you may cross-examine this witness.
So, can you please confirm for the court at what time you saw Donovan in the night of the question?
My apologies, but I cannot say for certain the exact time I saw him, though it was before my dinner break, which I usually take at
for the court the times that Donovan left or entered the rec center?
That is correct.
Is it true in the weeks leading up to the incident you noticed changes in Donovan's behavior?
Yes.
So when did you notice these changes?
Late 2006, he started to become more withdrawn and closer to the date in question, he started to mouth off more to both other youth at the center and various staff members.
So did you also see Dwayne that night?
I don't remember for certain seeing Dwayne at the center.
Please restate for the court. Can you be certain that you did not see Dwayne Dirks that night?
No, I also cannot say for certain that I didn't see him.
Any particular reason for that?
Well, December tends to be a much busier month at the rec center. Actually, winter as a whole tends to be because it is colder outside and more people come in to utilize the center's facilities rather than going outside.
So one last question. Is it true that Donovan has been associating with Dwayne Dirks more often?
Yes.
I rest my case.
Very well. Thank you, Jenny Wong. You may be seated. And does defense counsel have any further witnesses to call? Donovan T.C.,